Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Creator Notes podcast. We are getting up close and personal with your favorite creators and talking about all things that they've experienced being on this creative journey. Today, I'm joined by the OG himself, Phid McAwesome. Hello.
Hey, it's weird. It's the second time I've been introduced as the OG.
It fits, though.
Yeah. I mean, I've been around in the space for so long now. It's literally why we named the business what we named it when we started it.
Yeah, and honestly, like, and we talk about it. It actually comes up a lot on this podcast. Is like naming conventions and stuff like that. And when I saw the brand, the OG came out, or Original Geek came out, I'm like, perfect, nailed it. Yeah, absolutely nailed it. Because it's sometimes you just like I've been through it before. Where you go, oh, we shouldn't have done that name, or that didn't make sense. You know, getting down the track. So like, was the whole point behind like calling it the Original Geek is that you've been like, I've been here forever, I want to be known as the OG, or was it just sort of?
Well, it started off as like I was starting to get introduced to people at conventions as being the OG sort of marketing person and with content creators. And at first I was like, this is cool, especially like, I was a hip hop kid, right? I still am a hip hop guy.
Perfect. Yeah.
So I was always like, yeah, I'm the OG. This feels cool. Like being introduced as the OG is pretty cool. And then when it came to last year when we decided to start this business, I was like, how can I play off that? And I played around with a few different ideas. Like at one point it was just going to be, I was going to call the business OG. Yeah. Just OG.
Just OG.
And I was like, that's dumb. Like that, there was one of those moments I was like, nah, that is dumb. And I thought, how can we make that work where it is OG, but it works with what we're doing? And we always knew that the agency was going to focus not just on gaming, but on pop culture and fandom as sort of the backbone of what we do. So we say we focus on gaming, pop culture, and fandom. Yep. And what's the one term that connects all those things together? It's being absolutely. A geek. So It doesn't matter if you're a video game nerd, you're a geek. If you're into Marvel movies, you're a geek. And me, I'm a pro wrestling geek. So, all of those things, it crosses us all over together. So that was literally what it was like, okay, OG works as Original Geek. Most people will pick up that it's a play on Original Gangster as well. And to the point where our first logo design that was thrown together was using like that old English tattoo gangster style font. And part of me was like, that looks cool. But the other part of me was like, that is so unfriendly. Yeah. We ended up going in the polar opposite direction with the logo, and we're like, we've gone for a nice, it's a nice soft font. We've gone for peach and purple as our colors. Like, it's gone from harsh to the least harsh branding you could think of. So, that was how we ended up coming up with the name. It was cool. That was all in like a 3-day process because starting this business was super short notice and super speed run.
Hey, impressive for 3 days. I mean, this thing, like even this podcast, I think I sat on it for like 6 months and just been like, just kept changing ideas and stuff like that. But you hit on a point that it's kind of a big point that I've discovered as well, which is like geeks in general. Like there's gaming, but then like all the stuff that spins off from that and all the stuff that's like adjacent to that is huge. Like,
100%. Like you show me a single video game content creator that is only obsessed with video games.
Exactly.
It's not a thing, right? Like somebody's got a nerddom on something else, and whether that be movies or anime or whatever. Like anime is a massive crossover, but there's so many other. At the moment, one of the things I've loved about COVID is all of a sudden we're seeing heaps of gym geeks.
Yeah, true. Absolutely.
Right.
And like we interviewed Master Trainer Pete on the show.
Yep.
And
I love Pete.
It's just his story. Like he's like, fitness trainer, just adapted and just evolved, but also huge passionate gamer at the same time. And he just found something where he can make the two collide. And it's a conversation that keeps coming up where it's like, okay, well, gaming's not just for gamers. Like there's so many people that are gaming, but also like gamers aren't just gaming. They're doing so many other things. And also I don't know about you, but like every gamer I've met, they're the people that want to, like, they want to spend money, they want to do things, they want to, you know, they're passionate about their stuff. Like, I don't understand why more people
there's a
are
reason
marketing.
why video games is the biggest money making media in the world, right?
Yeah.
Like video games makes more money than Hollywood, making more money than the music industry. It makes more money than streaming TV, and there's a reason for that. Is because gamers spend money,
They spend money.
and that's what. When we started Original Geek, I know I keep going back to Original Geek, but when we started it, we were like, look, we want to work with gaming companies, but our core focus is not going to be looking after video game companies or whatever. It's going to be helping non-gaming brands get into the gaming space. Perfect. Because there's such an opportunity, and I think it's the biggest opportunity is for non-endemic brands to enter this space.
Absolutely.
Right? And there's so much money being spent in this space that why wouldn't they want to, right? And all of our big campaigns we've done since we launched in July last year, I think only one of them's got a super close gaming focus, like, you know, with the intention of it being a gaming brand. Everything else has been, we've worked with food brands, we've worked with events, we've worked with one of our recent clients is a weight loss brand, you know, and they're all entering the space because they're like, these guys spend money and these guys are like, utilize our products, because there was always the stereotype that gamers sit in their mum's basement and that's all they do is eat, sleep, and play video games.
And they only drink Mountain Dew and eat Doritos or something like that. You know, it's like
Doritos and Mountain Dew.
Which, I mean, that was a marketing. That was those companies marketing to gamers early on and just getting in on it. That's all that is. It's not.
Like arguably those two brands, like Mountain Dew and Doritos, they just saw the opportunity before everyone else. They ended up becoming the meme.
That's it. That's exactly right. But it's So no, it's fascinating. But I'm glad that I think people that are thinking in that mindset, they're the ones that are going to go forward, because those who are like, you know, stay in their lane, kind of, so to speak, they're going to die out. And we've had conversations, particularly on this show, around things like, you know, free-to-air televisions, you know, on the outer, where everyone's connected to the internet, we're in socials, we're all these, like, we're now, our news is coming from our friends, essentially. Like, we're not watching the 6 o'clock news for the latest and that greatest. We only watch it if we're interested in something.
I would argue that that's a problem. That we're only getting the news from our friends because it's coming through a million different filters of opinion before it gets to you. But
you'd hope you have good friends. You'd hope you have good friends at that point.
Oh yeah, exactly right. But that's the thing is, I think the news media needs to sort of develop into something that works with this new medium as well, right? Because I think there's still a place in the world for good journalism. It's just that, as you said, the medium is dying out. It's the medium of TV. Newspapers, when was the last time you picked one of those up?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And people aren't visiting websites as often as they used to. Like, all you have to do is look at the downfall of video games media and websites. Like, then most of them are transitioning over to video because people just don't want to read a full investigative or full review or whatever. They just want to be told it now.
Yeah, now there's an entire audience of people that literally read all that and then turn it into video, and that's their entire market. That's their content.
Oh, exactly. And like, I can't believe, like, here in Australia, like someone like 9 News or whatever hasn't gone, all right, what we need to do is start a TikTok account and we will put out 2-minute news stories.
Yep, second they happen, hot off the press, straight out. No,
and they should be doing that. Like, I can't believe it hasn't been done yet.
Yeah, it's because they're stuck in their lane.
Let me note that one down.
Give them a call on that. Yeah, it's crazy to me, and I think there's a lot of talented content creators out there who are filling that void just out of sheer necessity. But again,
absolutely,
it's crazy that there's so many big media companies out there that are just like, no, we've always done it this way, and it's always done well, and it's like, well, no, things are changing.
And, absolutely, and I think it's probably been the coolest part about being in this industry over the last 10 years. It has been sort of on the forefront of that shift. And it's one of the cool challenges about it, right, is staying ahead of the shift as well, like attempting to stay ahead of the shift. Sometimes you completely miss it and something pops up and you're like, wow, I did not predict that was going to blow up.
Yeah,
but other times it's like you see something new pop up, you investigate it, analyze whether it's going to be something that's got a future and whether you're going to invest some time in it so you can be at the forefront of it. And like, I know so many content creators, especially in the gaming space, who have attempted that and it's taken them years to blow up because they've gone, okay, I'm going to join Twitch. Okay, it's taken me too long to blow up on Twitch. I'm going to go over to, Mixer.
Yep.
And they start making a breakthrough on Mixer and Mixer dies.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yep.
And then they go over to something else. Like a great content creator that I do a lot of work with currently, I've probably worked with him on and off for about 3 or 4 years.
Yep.
And it's taken that long for him to blow up. Awesome content creator.
Yeah.
Always had it in him. But it was just investing the time in the right space and putting the effort in, which he was always trying to do. And it wasn't until TikTok that he found his niche and he's blown up.
And it's wild. And like with TikTok's a big thing for me where I kind of, it's so interesting the amount of creators like, no, I'm not touching TikTok. It's not for me. It's like, it's the Wild West though. Like, it's like, if you look at forefront of growth, it's got to be TikTok at this point.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. Like, I don't know if you know Nazy, but she's an awesome example of somebody who was doing well on Twitch, really doing well on Twitch. When I first met her, she was probably pulling, I want to say about 50 concurrent viewers on an average Twitch stream. Doing pretty, and that's a respectable following for someone
consistent too.
On Twitch. Yeah. And she was doing really well. I luckily, and this is the only feather in my cap that not a lot of people know about, is I got to give her first chance at playing Beat Saber on VR.
Oh, wow. So we have you to blame.
Well, it was something she wanted to try. She did want to try it. She'd always dabbled in VR in her content, but she'd wanted to try it. And it just so happened that we were working with the guys at Beat Saber to have it on display at IEM the first time IEM happened in Sydney. Because we had her along as a content creator, and she was one of the faces of Intel at the time because we were working with Intel. She's like, Phid, can you get me onto Beat Saber? I go, well, tell you what, we can get you on there and film you doing it and do it as a content piece for Intel, and it'll be awesome. Yeah, sweet. And funnily enough, that became her content. But it wasn't until TikTok that it blew up. And this is a funny one as well. It was actually a video that she did for us for one of our clients. So we commissioned her to do a video for Warner Music. There was a single that had come out. We were promoting it via content creators, and I was like, this is perfect crossover for Nazy for her Beat Saber content. And the brief that we gave her was it had to go out on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. And because that was where her big platforms were at the time. She makes the video, and on her own, she was like, you know what? I'm going to chuck it on this new TikTok thing. Let's see how it goes. And it blew up so fast that we had in the office, we had her, the live sort of counter for YouTube. We had that up on a big screen because her following on YouTube was ticking up so fast that we could literally watch this clicker just going like this as her numbers were clicking up, and it was all from TikTok. Like, people discovered her on TikTok and went, where can I find the rest of her shit?
That's so cool.
They all started subscribing on YouTube. So there is a crossover in that direction, which is funny because there isn't a crossover from YouTube to Twitch.
TikTok. And to Twitch, Yeah, Twitch is
which
always a hard one.
Because we always used to, and we still do, you do a campaign that's focused on one or the other, because for some reason, live viewers will watch YouTube, but YouTube viewers, if they're not already a Twitch viewer, are not going to cross over the other way because they're not a live content viewer.
Yep. And like I've got friends who literally would have videos that would blow up 1 million views on YouTube, and then you ask them, say, how many Twitch subscribers or how many Twitch followers did you get out of that? Like
a couple of thousand.
It's like nothing. It's nothing. It's because they're different audiences, and I think that whole social audience, I suppose, is probably the best way to describe it. That's in TikTok, who watch Instagram Reels and all that sort of stuff. It's a totally different audience, much more volatile, but also like you can find someone there who will like your stuff, who will, you know, buy your merch. Like they're just fans. They're not necessarily playing in the space. They just saw you, loved your stuff, and then, you know, are a fan of you. And it's
what I've found interesting on TikTok personally is I've had some TikToks go like pretty viral. Like some of them have gone like 500,000 views and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And you think, this is awesome. My follower count sucks.
Yeah.
But I've got these really viral videos on my personal account, but it just didn't cross over. But look, that's down to me as well, because it was just inconsistency. I am the most inconsistent content creator on TikTok. I probably put out one video a month.
Yep.
Sometimes it'll do really well. Other times it doesn't. If I was putting out content every day, which most TikTokers will tell you, you need to be putting out a video at least once a day. Some of them are putting out 3 to 4 a day.
You need to please the TikTok gods and worship the algorithm and hope for the best. But it's interesting you say that, because it's like it's a conversation that comes up a lot. But I like if you live stream on TikTok, for example, it like the algorithm it goes up and down. Like you could be talking to 5 people 1 minute, and then it goes up to 1,000 the next minute, and then it goes back down to 5 minutes. It's crazy. And I was talking to some other TikTok creators, and I'm like, how do you turn that into followers? Because like I still have bugger all followers, but I can still, you know, pull 1,000 people on a live stream. And they're like, you got to tell them to follow. Like you have to actually physically tell them. And I tried it. I saw my number go up, and I said, hey guys, it'd be really cool if you follow right now. It's like 50 follows straight away. I'm like, it's like you just have to remind them to hit the button.
Yeah, exactly. And it's, but it's always been that way as well with YouTube. Like for years, it's been, it's the stereotype of follow, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and it does work. It sounds really dumb, and it's become cliche, but it does work. What is interesting is there's a whole bunch of studies on YouTube of where and when you should say it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't heard this.
And there's some differing opinions on it. Like some people think you shouldn't do it until the end, because if you've got someone to the end of the video, they're already invested, so they will probably convert. But I've seen some really interesting studies that say, no, you should probably do it within the first 2 minutes. You know, start talking, get them interested, get them to subscribe, and then keep them for the rest of the video.
It's interesting.
Interesting differing opinions. I don't have a opinion on it. But my opinion is it's exactly what you said. You need to tell them. You need to be telling people.
Yeah. Yep. So if you're watching this video now, you need to like and subscribe.
Hit the notification bell.
Hit the notification bell, yeah.
Join the Noti squad.
Before we get too into business here, because we're going to end up running a seminar at this point, let's go back to you and sort of where you got into it. I'm just gonna guess, just from your background, that you've been a gamer for a while, seeing that you've got some absolute classics behind you there. Did you start like as a gamer and then sort of fell into the industry, or was it sort of, how did it all work out for you?
So I think for most people you ask in my generation, they did fall into the industry. I have been a gamer since the mid 80s. I'm an old boy. I have always had a love for video games. I remember going and playing video games at my cousin's house because he had an Atari. And my older brother, who didn't live with us, he lived with my grandmother. He had a Commodore 64.
Ooh, nice.
And so those are my two sort of real introductions. I cannot answer the question. I get asked all the time, what was your first video game? I don't know the answer to that. All I can tell you, it was either on the Atari, and my first memory on the Atari was Breakout.
Ooh, yeah.
But my first memory on the Commodore 64 was California Games.
Oh, an absolute
I'm not sure which one of those I played first.
Yep. I played a hell of a lot of California games as a kid.
Oh, totally. I think I've owned it on like 5 or 6 different platforms.
Because you see nostalgia and you're like, this game, away you go, and you buy it again.
Oh, 100%. But we didn't have video games in our house until, apart from hiring consoles from the video store. But during the school holidays, every now and then, Mum would like let us go and hire like a Master System or an NES or whatever. For some reason, I remember the NES being hired more.
Yeah.
But we became a Sega house because when the Mega Drive came out, the Master System became affordable.
Yep.
And Dad bought us the Master System with the light gun and Operation Wolf and a couple of other cheap cartridges. And I can remember coming home from school, clocking Alex the Kid, or Alex Kidd, sorry. I'm going to get slaughtered being a retro gamer saying Alex the Kid. Playing Alex Kidd in Miracle World almost every day, and I would clock it almost every day until we got the first game, which was Operation Wolf. And then for some reason, my mum started loving that game, so I'd play that with mum, which was cool. And that was the first console we had in our house. So literally went from that to the Mega Drive. When the Mega Drive became cheap, I think it was in the Saturn era, my dad bought the Mega Drive. So everything that we were bought for us was a generation behind.
I was exactly the same. Yep, exactly the same. The family bought the Master System when the Mega Drive came out. And then you just got to upgrade as it goes trading out, I guess.
And then PlayStation was the first on-release console I got.
Oh, interesting. Yep.
But that was because I was earning my own money at high school and I saved up and bought that.
Like many kids, I feel like that was like the thing that kids were like, save up, get a job, save up, buy a PlayStation.
Actually, the first console I bought, that's a lie. The first gaming console I bought was the Game Boy.
Oh, interesting.
And that was at primary school with my paper run money. I put that on lay-by, and so back then we got paid cash as well. So I'd go pick up my pay, and I had the good paper run. Now I grew up in a small-ass town in New Zealand, rural town. So I'd go pick up my cash from the office, go pick up my papers, and my paper run was the town centre. So I didn't do the residential things. I did, and I think it was a Thursday afternoon. It was a once a week paper. I used to drop it off at all the shops. Awesome. And so I'd make sure I went to every single shop, and I saved Decca, which was, what would you call that? The equivalent of like a New Zealand version of Kmart in the 80s and early 90s. It doesn't exist anymore, but I'd save that for my last shop for drop off, because I'd go and take my entire paycheck and drop it on this Game Boy in my lay-by until I paid it off. And when I first got that, I bought my own gaming machine. This is awesome. And then I took it home the first day, and my younger brother was like, "Can I play?" No. And I chance. Felt good because
it's yours.
It was mine, and I could say no. It was the first time I didn't have to share with my brother.
Do you think like kids today have that same sort of experience, like working hard and getting a console and like? Because for me, that's every time a console came out, that was like a magical moment in my childhood, you know? Like it's crazy.
I'm going to be honest. This is me speaking from a fully privileged position. So we bought the first new game console we bought with our kids was the 360.
Yep.
And they buzzed out over that. But not long after that, I started working in games media and tech media. And ever since then, we've either been gifted or whatever the consoles.
Yeah.
So super privileged position. So
absolutely, yeah.
I can't speak as much as what normal kids. Our kids have been super lucky that they've grown up with a dad working in the gaming industry.
Yeah, I bet.
So
I wish my dad was in the gaming industry.
Almost every console you can think of we've had in our house. So they've been super lucky.
Yeah.
Although I'm still not a cool dad.
What's it going to take?
I don't think that exists. I've seen celebrities talk about it where they're like, "So you must be the coolest dad ever." No, my kids hate me.
Yeah, that's right. It's just a standard, I guess. So growing up gaming, obviously, at what point? Do you want to talk about sort of what kind of industry were you in? How did you get into games? Like how? So how did that come about?
So I was in media because that was what I studied at university. So I studied media studies, and then I went and focused on radio, and wanted to get into a radio career, had kids, realized I wasn't going to make it in radio because I needed to work for years before I can make money. And I was away from radio for like 10 years.
Okay. Yep.
And the way I sort of entered this industry is I got back into radio as a content creator, right? So 10 years after, I'd been working at a whole bunch of other different jobs, working, a lot of it had a crossover with marketing in the later years, but it was like managing businesses and having to focus on marketing as a part of that, blah, 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 blah. And then a friend of mine who I met via Twitter walked into my shop that my wife and I owned and was like, it was the first time we ever got to know each other in person because we'd only spoken on Twitter. And he asked me about my background and blah, 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 blah. And I just happened to mention that I used to work in radio. I'd love to get back into it. And he goes, it's funny, I've always wanted to get into radio. And he had a great voice for radio. And I was like, bro, I'm literally just looking for an excuse. Right? If you want to get into radio, I can make this happen. So we sat down and had a coffee one day. I was like, and we came up with this plan for a radio show, which was, you have to remember, this is sort of the dawn of the Twitter era.
Yeah.
So Twitter's blowing up. It's doing really well. But and we decided we were going to start a 1 hour radio show, which was going to focus only on social media.
Ooh,
so it was going to be what's happening in social media, whether it be companies, whatever, blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
And also some of the happenings around what's happening in the Twitter community, because back then, like especially in New Zealand, we had like quite a close Twitter community. And we talk about like different people that are doing things, blah, 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 blah. The show went nuts.
Yeah.
So I went and pitched it to a local radio station. I think me and my mate had the meeting to discuss the show on the Monday. I pitched it to the radio show on the Thursday. We were live on air on the Saturday.
Wow. Really?
So we made it happen in under 7 days, right? And it blew up because we just advertised the shit out of it on Twitter. People were keen on it. And we got to a point that we started to bring our other interests into the show, and it stopped focusing because the show ended up being my mate, my wife, and I. Yep. And we started bringing other interests like technology and gaming and stuff like that. So it became a a live radio show about social media, web, tech, and gaming. So it had different segments and all that sort of thing. And it went from an hour to a 2 hour show. And then we were the first radio show in New Zealand, at least, to go, we're a tech show. We should be a podcast as well. Right? So we released the show after. So we'd do it live, and then that night it would go out as a podcast.
Which is what they do as a standard now for pretty much every radio show.
Yeah, but this is...
like, yeah, exactly.
2010?
Holy crap.
I want to say 2010 because, it was, it would have been roughly around about then.
Yeah.
And then we started a YouTube show and all that sort of thing. So I had our day job where we were looking after marketing. My wife worked in marketing heavily at the time. Like that was her trade, was a marketing manager and a social media marketing advisor and all that sort of thing. And I had jobs which had crossovers between management and marketing and all that. And because the podcast blew up, we started getting invited to different events.
Right. Yep.
And I started being like, you know what? I think I want to work in PR. Like, I love what these PR guys are doing.
Yeah.
But I also started started helping out companies with not so much PR stuff, because PR was still in its infancy with how PR worked with content creators. And I started sort of helping companies work with content creators as sort of a little bit of a side hustle. Yep. So the guys at like Xbox and Huawei and PlayStation, stuff like that, helping them out. That was the early sort of stages and helping them out with working with content creators. And even then, like some of it was Twitch streamers, some of it was Instagram users, some of it was Twitter users. How do we engage in that and all that? And then I got invited over to Sydney for the launch of a computer company. So most people, if you remember me from 8-9 years ago, I was the Lenovo guy.
Right. Yep.
And the reason I became known as the Lenovo guy is because Lenovo had just launched in Australia. They were known for the ThinkPad and their home computer stuff and all that sort of thing. And they were just launching their first ever gaming laptop and gaming PC.
Oh, interesting.
So I got brought over to do for the launch of that. And it was to come over as a content creator, right?
Yep.
Because by then we'd dropped the radio show. We were just doing the YouTube show and the podcast. The podcast was still being syndicated on radio.
Oh, interesting.
Across multiple radio stations, but we didn't have to worry about going and doing a live show. We just did our podcast, and these radio stations paid us to have our show on the radio station. And at this launch, like we did the launch event, photo ops, blah, 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 blah. Afterwards, we all went and had a few drinks at a bar, and it was with the PR company or the marketing agency that was running the event.
Yeah.
And the CEO of that came up to me and said, hey, I've wanted to meet you for a long time. Introduced herself to me and said, hey, what do you do for a day job? Blah, blah, blah. And I told her, I work in marketing, but also blah, 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 I do this as well.
Yeah.
And essentially told her a bit about my life story, about like I'd started a few businesses, and some of them have been successful, some of them have been failures, but the failures help you make your successes better, and blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, and all that. And she actually said to me, she goes, what are you doing tomorrow morning? I want to have a talk to you sober. We've got a job that's come up. Could you be in our office? And it was something like 9 o'clock in the morning. So I was like, yep, not a problem. The hotel was just around the corner that they had us staying in. I didn't have to fly out until I think it was 3 p.m. So I was like, sweet, that'll work.
Yeah.
Went into the office. Funnily enough, I was the first one to the office. All the staff turned up, hung over, and said hi, and went to their desks. And CEO turns up and calls me into the office and says, here's the deal. Intel and Lenovo both picked them up to launch their gaming products here. We don't have anyone who's a specialist in gaming as well as marketing.
Yep.
Do you want to come and head that up for us?
Awesome.
And as a New Zealander who I wasn't earning a lot of money at the time, because the income in New Zealand compared to the income in Australia, completely different. At the time, I think the average income in New Zealand was about $32,000 a year.
It's nuts.
And I was probably close to that at the time, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah.
I rang up my wife after this meeting. I said, here's the offer. And I'll admit now, it was a sizable offer. I'd never seen that many zeros on a page before. And I had not so much zeros, but that many numbers on a page before.
Yeah.
I said to her, here's the offer. They want me to move to Sydney and take up this job. I'll be looking after both Lenovo and Intel on the gaming side of things, helping both Lenovo gaming and Intel gaming start in Australia and New Zealand.
Crazy.
What do you think? And before, she didn't even think about it. She was just like, yeah, take it. Wait. Have a think about it. I'm about to hop on the plane. You've got like 3.5 hours to think about it before I get home.
Yeah.
Then we can have a chat when I get home. And I think it was within a week I accepted the role. And moved over to Sydney. And here's the crazy thing. I moved over to Sydney with $200 in my wallet.
That's crazy.
Right? Stayed in my mate's place who lived out in the middle of nowhere in Blacktown. Or not in the middle of out in Blacktown, which is way out west in Sydney. So I had to catch the train all the way into Sydney every day. $200 in my wallet, burnt through that super fast because I did not realize how expensive coffee and whatnot was in Sydney. And lived on a credit card that I don't know. I remember being stunned when I first moved here that I got given a credit card the moment I opened my bank account. I was just like, you just give me a credit card. This is awesome. I'm going to be able to set up, get a rental property. And I was instantly, my first month, I think I was like $8,000 in debt.
Jesus.
But it's what I needed to do, right? And scary at the time, but best move I ever made. And and that was my start in working in this industry, was essentially going from radio and media to content creation, getting an opportunity and saying yes. The funny thing is throughout all of my career, whether it be radio or whatever, the secret to everything doing really well and blowing up has always been saying yes to opportunities.
Yep.
I think you need to make it needs to be a calculated yes.
Yep. But I don't know. But what's the calculation? Like, what percentage do you have to lean towards, you reckon? Like,
here's the thing. I think if your instinct is this is stupid.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's a no.
Fair. Yep.
If it's scary, it's probably the right decision.
I agree, 100%. I think that's a really good way to put it. And I've recently taken on the mantra as well of, like, there's so many times you just be like, man, I can't be bothered. I'm just going to say no to that. Whatever,
because it's easy to get stuck in what's easy and what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
I've got a good right now. I'll just
I'm
chill.
good. You know, I'm tired. I'd rather sit on the couch today or whatever, rather than get dressed and go to this event or whatever. And now I'm on the other side where I just say yes to pretty much anything, unless your gut, unless there's a red flag and you go, oh, no, stay clear of that one.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I mean. Like it's that red flag thing. It's like, this doesn't seem right.
Yeah,
It probably is the right instinct.
But yeah, the amount of opportunities and stuff, and like just open doors where I've gone, yeah, you know what, I can do that. Let's do that. That's fine. Let's do that.
Yeah, and the other one that helps is taking your shot, right? Like you hear people saying, "I'm going to shoot my shot." Shoot those shots, man, because I would say 9 out of 10 times those shots will become something.
Yeah.
So if any content creators are out there, especially as somebody that works on the business side now, or works on the business side, reach out to those people that you're too scared to reach out to. If you're at an event and you see somebody, come up and say hi to them.
Yeah, just say hello.
Introduce yourself, because the amount of people that come up or will DM me after an event and say, hey, it was really good to see you. I was too scared to come and say hi.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, I'm not scary. Come and say hi.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing though. Like it's you're having a conversation in your brain. You see someone, you go, should I go talk to them? The answer is yes. Yes, you should. It's like it's the same mentality. You just and like
a lot of people, and I'll give them credit for this. Is a lot of people will see me having a conversation with somebody and be like, I didn't want to interrupt them.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
but look, sometimes people do this awkwardly, but I think there's a right and wrong way of doing it. But there's nothing wrong with the hover.
Yeah,
which is you see somebody having a conversation, you want to talk to them. You don't interrupt them as much as you sort of stand there and let them know that, hey, I'm here. I want to talk to you next if possible.
Yeah,
and you just sort of hover around.
Yep.
That person will either address you and say, usually, this is my thing anyway, if I'm not going to be able to engage with that person, I will usually say, hey, dude, I'm going to have to run straight after this conversation.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what I'll do. I'm not sure. I can't speak for everybody. That's my thing is, I'll let them know if I'm not going to be able to talk to them next, or I'll just say, give me 5 minutes. I'll just finish up here and you've got my time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, I think that the big thing that I always sort of tell people is like, hey, everyone's like nervous. Everyone's sort of, you're meeting strangers for the first time. They might be just a cartoon avatar to you on the internet.
Yeah.
And then when you see them in person, like, it's weird for everyone. Right.
This is how weird it is for me. Right. I have, and it's going to sound like a weird flex, but I've got 5,000 people that follow me on Twitter, right?
Yeah.
A lot of those people engage with me on Twitter. A lot of those people, you're a small avatar, and I've probably never clicked your avatar to see it full size. And the amount of times people assume that I recognize them, it's like, dude, please introduce yourself.
Yep.
That's the only ask that I ever have with people is come up, introduce yourself to me. Yep. Don't be like, hey, Phid, good to see you, and assume that I know who you are. Because I may know who you are by your username or whatever, but I might not know you by face.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially if you've got like a animated avatar.
Yeah, and look, just embrace the awkwardness. All right, we're all doing
100%. Do it.
Just get into it. That's
but yeah, take that shot though. 100% take that shot. Like the amount of people that I have met at events or whatever for the first time, I might not have checked out their content before because I haven't engaged with them enough.
Sure. And
they've come up and met me. I've gone, that's a really cool person. I like that person, and gone and followed them on everything, checked out their social, and gone, shit, I've got something I can work with them on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you just don't know. You don't know who you're talking to, or you just introduce yourself, say hello. You don't know what's coming up. Like the amount of times that you say hello to someone, and then like you'll get a message a week later. It's like, hey, I heard you talking about this thing at this event. Well, I've got this other thing coming up. You're interested? Like, it happens all the time, and it's like
100%.
it's
100%. And the other one is the amount of good business like that gets done outside the convention.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Right. Yep. And that's either at a bar. Don't have to be a drinker.
Nope.
I'm not saying go out and have a drink, but go out and socialize.
Yeah.
Or the other one is hanging out, and this is my bad habit coming in, but it works. I used to be a cigarette smoker. I was a 25 to 30 cigarette smoke a day. I'm no longer that, but I'm a vapor now. Right.
Yep.
Still arguably a horrible habit, but standing outside having chats to people outside the convention.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so good. It's yeah, and like I always like, hey, yeah.
By the way, I'm not saying anybody should take up vaping to do that.
No, you get something with the drinking. You don't have to, but if you, the amount of times like, hey man, it's really noisy in here. I'm about to hop off, grab a coffee. Do you want to we'll have a chat outside?
Exactly. Or do you know the other one that it's where people have got me really good with this one? I'm going to head out for a walk because I'm just need to get out of here. Do you want to come for a walk with me? And I was like, you know what? I
do actually, yeah.
I have 10 minutes, and this event is actually stressing me out. It'd probably be good for my health to go out and get some oxygen and get out of here. And I've gone for walks with people I've never known and got to know them in 10 minutes because I've gotten out of the convention and talked to them. So
yeah.
That one might work. I wouldn't say offer it to everybody, but
yeah, exactly. There's something like I mean, PAX is a great example. Trying to have a conversation with someone in the middle of the show floor at PAX is like near impossible. It's just people and noise and just it's so much. You're better off saying, "Hey,
stimulation."
Yeah, it's like, are you going somewhere for drinks afterwards or whatever? Just like organize just like a time to be somewhere else to say hello and talk. If you
or even look, if you're busy, that person's busy. A business card is still great.
Business cards are great. Yep.
And I will always, here's my thing that I do is I pocket every single business card I'm given.
Yep.
When I get back home after the event, I go through every single business card. I filter them by, okay, this is a business person I want to talk to. This is a content creator. This is just some shit I looked at that I might be interested in. And like, I literally have stacks of business cards and I'll go through them and I will follow up with some of them. Some of them I'll just sort of keep them there for future reference. Yeah. So business cards are great for that.
Yeah. I was very surprised. I was at a bar after, I think it was like TGX last year or something like that. And on the dance floor, I was talking to a guy. He's like, I saw you did a panel and stuff like that. Yeah. And he gave me a business card at the bar. And I'm like, okay. And I put it in my pocket. And then like a week later, I was wearing the same jacket. And I'm like, whose business card is this? And then from there, we're best mates now. Like
I give out more business cards at bars after events than I do on show floors.
Yeah. Just another thing to.
Well, I did a cheeky one when we first launched OG, when we had the Sydney meetup last year, Sydney Twitch meetup.
Yep.
I actually took a stack of my business cards and I was like, I'm going to be super cheeky. They had like this table set up where you could, where they've got the Twitch "Hi, my name" and stickers. They had those there for people to sign up. And I put a whole stack of cards there. I was just like, let's see if anybody takes those. The amount of emails I got afterwards was like, hey, I picked up your card. You want to have a chat?
So good. Hey, sometimes you got to be a little bit cheeky, It's just
dude, I'm a cheeky person. So.
No, that's cool. So, obviously, I'm still getting my head around how that all came about. But so, for you, once you obviously now you live in Australia still, and very much playing the Australian sort of market, stuff like that. Do you feel comfortable where you are and like in marketing and stuff like that, or is this like this sort of what your end game kind of feels, or do you have bigger plans or grander plans going forward? Or
this is the weird part. I've always been a person that has goals.
Yeah.
Up until about, I'd say 4 years ago, all of a sudden I found myself in this position where I didn't have goals anymore.
Right. Okay.
And I was like, and I'll rewind the story a wee bit.
Yeah.
So a lot of people in the space will know of the agency Go to Game.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I co-founded that agency with the CEO, and Jack, who now heads up that agency. We hired him, brought him on board, awesome, and love him to bits. But I built that business up, and I got to a point personally where I was just like, I don't have any goals or ambitions anymore in this place.
Yeah.
It was nothing against him, nothing against the brand. I think part of me was sick of working for a company doing that sort of work.
Sure.
I was really fucking good at it, but I was losing ambition. And I think as a person, no matter where you're working, if you're losing ambition in that place, you're no longer good for them.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
As well as they're no longer good for you.
Yep. If you haven't got that drive, it's like, what do you
I had lost my passion for the place, right?
Yeah.
And that's being 100% honest. It took me a wee while to admit that to myself as well. And that was right during COVID too. And I think a lot of it was I was also having other mental health issues because I'm a very extroverted person. I love meeting people. I love getting out and about. The way I've done my
COVID's
job
the
for the
worst.
last 10 years has been going to events and meeting people and engaging with them. And that's how I grew the Go to Game, was by doing that. All of a sudden, I didn't know how to do my job anymore because I was stuck at home.
Yep.
Right. And I had to relearn how to do all that. And it was a whole thing. So I left that company. I was like, I just want out. I'm not enjoying this anymore. I'm not having fun, all of that. And I left the company because I did get another opportunity with another company. And I loved doing that. That company was non-profitable when I started there. All of a sudden, they had a goal. I didn't have a goal. They had a goal. They were losing money hand over fist at the time. And essentially, I was brought in as the business development manager to help that company start making money.
Yep.
I was like, okay, I may not have a goal, but they've got a goal, and I think I can achieve that goal for them. I was with that company for a year and a half, and in that time took their valuation from almost nothing to millions of dollars worth of valuation.
Crazy.
And that was super cool. Enjoyed that journey, enjoyed taking that company from being an education provider to an education provider in gaming that was giving opportunities to up-and-coming content creators and helping them build relationships with brands. And I started getting this real passion for helping these up-and-coming content creators get from, I want to make this a thing, to it's a thing for them now, right?
Yeah, cool.
And it's cool because I've still got great relations. I think I met you through that company.
Yeah, I think we finally crossed paths with that company. Yeah.
And loved my time there. But then I got a tap on the shoulder late 2022. So I got tapped on the shoulder by a game publisher, game developer. And I was like, once again, it was another one of those moments of I've never seen this much money in my entire life was what was offered to me. And the job was going to be looking after Australia and New Zealand. I was going to head up the entire region.
Nice.
Awesome. And dude, my first day on the job was literally flying to the States and spending a week over in the States, learning about the business, meeting all the people that worked for the company, planning out what we were going to do for the next year. And I was just like, this is so fucking cool. I'm loving this. I'm getting paid really fucking good money, like crazy good money. It's a new challenge for me because I'm now working game dev side of things. So essentially this company looks after, they still exist. They do co-dev and stuff for all the AAA developers. So you name a game that's come out that's been big in the last 2 years, they have done either graphics development, level development, audio development, QA or whatever, all on these games. Almost every single game that you could think of. And so I was loving this, right? However, think back to a year, what has happened in the last year and a half in games. While it was a great job, my timing could not have been worse. It was to enter the game development business because I was in that job for 6 months. And they started losing clients because those clients, which are the likes of Activision and 2K and all those, they started laying off people. Right? They started laying off hundreds of thousands of staff members, which meant that they were also not wanting to hire third parties to help them make their games. So they started losing clients on the US side of things. We were doing well over in Australia and New Zealand, but they just needed to save money. So like, what's the easiest way to save money? We'll shut down all these different locations and we'll run it all from Japan and the US. So I was in the job for 6 months, earned really good money for 6 months and found myself without work.
Damn.
6 months.
Damn. And you're right. It's purely a timing thing because it's like no one could really see how the industry was going to react to how it's reacted in general. And that hasn't stopped either.
I feel for anybody that didn't have something to fall back on. Like if you were just a games developer or whatever, it's been a rough couple of years because these companies that are laying off aren't hiring. So the opportunities are getting smaller and smaller at the moment. So I feel bad for them. I was super lucky because I had 10 plus years worth of experience on marketing and influencer management and campaign development and all that I could go, right, I'm just going to go back to what I was good at and have been doing for years. And we started Original Geek because of that, because luckily got a great payout because I was made redundant, and used that money to set up Original Geek. Originally, it was supposed to be just me, though, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
I just was like, sweet, I'm going to start my own thing. I'll start off small, earn enough money just to be able to pay the bills, and it'll just be me. And it went from, I don't know if many people have actually seen this, but the original logo of Original Geek was Original Geek, and it had a little animated version, a little cartoon of my face.
Yep.
Because it was just going to be me. I was going to do consultation and a bit of marketing, campaign management, and stuff like that. And we started picking up clients super fast because all of it, and it was people that were, oh, you're back in marketing, bro. Please, can we bring our business to you because we're not happy with the service we're getting from other places.
Yeah.
Not trying to throw anybody under the bus. Some of those places might have been previous employers, some of them are other companies, but they just weren't happy with where they were getting looked after. So, and I was like, sweet, fuck, this is really good. But also, this can't be just me anymore. So my wife joined the fray very fast, and she's a brilliant strategist. She's got like a Harvard degree and and there's a phrase, what is it? It's a Harvard degree in marketing and stuff. And strategy development. And she's been working in that for years. She's been a social media advisor. She was the only Māori social media advisor in New Zealand for a very long time.
Wow.
She was advising governments and stuff like that and how to do strategies. And amazing what she does. So no brainer, bring her into the fold. And look, while I'm really good at what I do, I'm not the most organized person when it comes to the admin side of things. She's crazy organized. So it made super sense. A colleague from a previous employer left the company that she was working at, and she joined us as well. So essentially the three of us are the owners of OG now. So it's not just me. I know a lot of people have me as the face of it because I'm the one who talks most about it publicly, but it is the three of us that run this company.
Cool.
And then we've just hired a staff member in the UK because we started picking up, for the same reason, started picking up clients in the EU and the UK due to them being unhappy with how they were being serviced by some of the biggest agencies in the world. So we gave them sort of pitches for being able to do stuff for them. They were like, this is way better than what we're getting. So we started picking up work over there. And we're about to bring on our next hire in May.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, which is super cool. Like, we're doing really well. We're really happy. But in saying that, the first 4 months was scary because we had a couple of months there that we had no income.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, starting a business is always wild.
We had a couple of really good breaks in those first few months, which brought in a decent income, but it wasn't enough to pay all of our bills. So a lot of that was my redundancy tying us over and things like that.
So from like a perspective of like where you're at now, is this like this is what you want to focus on? This is your goal to make OG everything, or?
My personal goal is I would love to be in a position where OG is making enough money that I can just be going out finding new clients and engaging people on that side of things, not so much managing the day-to-day of the campaigns. I'd love that for me. But in saying that, I still do have a passion and a love for being in the weeds and running these campaigns, especially if it's something that I'm super interested in. We developed this amazing campaign for the Manshake, who came to us late last year because they dipped their toes in with gaming at PAX, saw that there was an opportunity there, but they came to us and said, hey, we dipped our toes in. We think there's something here. We think you can develop a full strategy for us, though. And the strategy that we developed for them is such a cool, unique way of engaging gamers, because we're not doing like the typical, hey, this video is sponsored by, or hey, my Twitch stream is sponsored by. We're not doing that. We're doing a full year-long campaign following 4 gaming content creators go from where they are at the start of the year to hopefully this time next year being super confident, super healthy, fit, not just about weight loss, but about everything from mental health to good diets to good workout regimes, to as well as using Manshake and having Manshake be the sort of the conduit to them becoming a healthier person. And we're doing that by bringing in non-gaming content creators. So we've got the winner of My Kitchen Rules 2016. He is advising them on diet and food and stuff like that.
Yeah, cool.
We've got a New Japan professional wrestler he's a Māori from New Zealand. Awesome dude, Henare. He's come on board to be the physical training guider. So he's helping people with guidance on, going to the gym and all that sort of thing, different workouts. And then we've got a clinical psychologist, content creator who is helping these guys with their mental health.
Wow.
So he's a mental health advocate, and they're helping them one-on-one every month. But also those same people are available in Manshake's Discord for anybody that wants to join the Discord.
That's so
and
good.
They'll be able to get the same sort of guidance from exactly the same people, as well as advice on using Manshake and stuff like that. So it's a full campaign, a ridiculously in-depth campaign. That's one that I've been super passionate about, and I'm loving it because it's like, this is cool and unique and different.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be doing boring shit.
Yeah, it's so interesting that you put it that way, because I had a conversation with a very successful energy drink company recently, and one of the comments they made was, we don't do sponsorships because anyone can just slap a logo and say it's sponsored. What's the point? Yeah. Like, it's about building a culture and making your brand a part of it. And that's exactly what you're doing. It's like, you bring in your subject matter experts and like, hey, this is the product. It's going to help you, but you need to get all this other stuff in line too to get a real transformation.
Yeah, because it's more than just look. I think there's a place for branded content, like brought to you by blah 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 blah. Yep. Same with TikTok, a branded TikTok about a product. There's definitely a place for that. It's good awareness for a brand.
Sure,
but I think there's a deeper relationship that people want to have with a brand.
Yes. 100%.
And it needs to be unique. And even if you are doing branded content, unboxings suck.
Yes, right? I agree.
Unboxings suck. There is a place for them though, right?
Yes.
There's a place for reviews as well. Like if I'm going to buy a cell phone, I'm probably going to watch 50 reviews of different cell phones before I commit to one. That's just what I'm like with tech. So they all have their place. But if it's just going to be an awareness thing, I want it to be more creative. So we've just done a great campaign with Deliver Easy in New Zealand where we used nothing but Māori content creators, because we wanted to make sure that we were engaging Māori as well, not just Europeans and whatever. Yep. And it was a lot of it was heavily comedy based, but it was
engaging,
very interesting way. And it was a food delivery company.
Yep.
And it wasn't just the dumb, I want something. Here's this cool app. I'm going to get it delivered. Ding dong, my food's here.
I'm all for it. And then anything like that where they're a little bit outside of the box. And particularly, I feel like the lighter stuff, like comedy's a great one. Like if you can make someone engaged by making them smile, that's like, it's straight away, that's the kind of reaction that you want. Because there's a lot of people who like, hey, this video is sponsored by this because I'm poor and I need money. It's like, okay, well, that's not what we want. It's not the engagement you're looking for.
I don't know about you, but I have these moments when I watch YouTube videos where when you watch a YouTube video and it's like, and this video is brought to you by blah, 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 blah. I'm like,
yeah, where do I skip to?
But I have these moments where they'll be talking about the thing, it's very genuine, blah, 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 blah. And then a few minutes later, you're like, fuck, they transitioned into an ad and I didn't know that.
That's
God
the
damn
one.
it, you got me. That was so good.
Yeah, yeah. When you're watching it, and going, why is he talking about this product for? Oh, it's an ad.
You got me. So no, but I respect that. I do
too. Yeah,
and I'm like, you got me. Well done. That was good.
yeah. And a lot of time that like I had a completely random company reach out to me, and they're like, I want you to do this, this, and this, and I'm like, that sounds great. It's not very interesting. I said, I'll take all your products, but what I'm going to do is I'll do my bit, but I'm going to give it to someone else, and they're going to do their bit, and then we're going to show the transition of like actually giving it to someone who needs these products and do that. And they're like, I don't care, just do whatever. And I'm like, cool, I'll do that then. And I just messaged a friend. I'm like, hey, I heard your microphone shit. I got a new microphone. Do you want it? It's cost you nothing. And like, yeah, sweet. And she got a brand new microphone. She's really happy. And then I sent the video to the people, and they're like, we really like what you did. I'm like, yeah, this is what I told you I was going to do.
Yeah,
and like,
but unique, man.
It's just, and it wasn't even.
And this is the other thing, right? As a content creator, you will receive pictures or outlines of what they want you to do. Do not be scared to push back and say, hey, love that you're giving me this opportunity. Exactly. But here's my idea.
Yeah, yeah. It's like the way you phrase that. Yeah.
Sometimes the people you talk to will work for a marketing company or a PR company, and they're under strict instructions, and they'll say, hey, respect it, but we can't do that. We have to do what the client wants us to do. Yeah. And just accept that. If it's not for you, let them know that. If it is for you and you're still willing to do it, awesome.
Exactly.
But shoot your shot, because there will be a lot of opportunities where they're like, you know what, I like that idea. It was better than ours.
Yeah, it's interesting that a lot of creators, we had this conversation recently where they're like, oh, I don't know if can we tell them? There's a conversation. You can tell them if you're not happy with it, or you want to change something.
Everything is negotiable, right? Exactly. So whether that's price or brief or deliverables or whatever, everything is negotiable. I personally hate it when I'll start a conversation with somebody as an agency.
Yep.
And I'll be like, this is what we'd like you to do. This is how much money we're offering you. This is what we want delivered. And if they just come back with a no.
Yeah, great. That's great. Helpful for everyone. I
don't want to do this. Bye. Right. And I'm just like, dude, you didn't even push back.
Yeah. What's the matter? What do you want to change? Is there something, where's the middle ground?
We can make this work. Let's negotiate. Talk to me.
Exactly. I'm mindful of time, but I feel like there is probably two questions that I'd be shot if I didn't ask, and particularly when I'm speaking to yourself. One thing that I spend a lot of time, I guess, and I kind of hate the term, but it's kind of more relevant, is like I mentor a lot of creators who are getting started and everything else. And one of the big things that I get asked a lot is, hey, I want to work with brands, I want to get sponsorships and all that sort of stuff. And a lot of the time, it's not necessarily a monetary thing. It's just that they want to be able to say, hey, I'm working with Intel or whatever.
Absolutely.
But as much as I say, hey, just come up with cool shit, pitch it, some hit, some miss, that's life. They're always of that, oh, well, my numbers aren't quite there. How can someone who's a creator who's trying to look into getting into more of that kind of business side of things, what do they need to work on that's going to be like the most effective use of their time to, get the attention of brands and stuff like that?
Look, I'm not going to bullshit you. Like, those numbers of viewership and following are important. Right? If you've only got, I'm going to be blunt and say, if you've only got less than 200 followers, chances are a brand is going to look at you and go, come back when you've grown that a wee bit. Hopefully they're not rude to you. But so followers is important.
Yep.
However, content is important as well. Right?
Yep.
And a great way, like you said about getting free stuff, is right. There's a point in your career where accepting free stuff is your only option. Mm-hmm. Take it, right? Because that's going to build up your portfolio of work, of what you can do. It's going to give you the foot in the door. It's going to build those relationships with the agencies that look after this, or the brands that look after that. So that's my first piece of advice there, is take the free stuff when you're at that point. Also, if you're a bigger content creator, I hear there's always a lot of talk around don't accept free stuff when you're a big content creator.
Yeah.
And I would say that's true to a point, right? It's that making that decision based on value versus what you're worth as well.
Yeah.
And there's a mental equation there. I don't have the exact equation, but essentially, if they're offering you a product that has got a price point that is a high price point, and their product is genuinely going to help you with your content. So let's say a PC, right?
Yeah.
If somebody's offering you a $7,000 PC for free, and it's better than your PC, it's going to help you make better content or whatever, that's a consideration to make, and put that into your equation as well. Of course, once your following's up over like 30,000, you can go, give me the free PC and a few $1,000s.
Yeah, you're in a different position at that point.
Where you get to with that. Yeah. So there's that. But the other one is, if you're trying to break through as a new content creator, what you do have over a lot of these big content creators is you can provide, one, cheap content for these brands and good content for, right? So it's putting a lot of effort into the creative that you put together that is going to be of value to them, stuff that they can reshare. So a brand that's capitalized massively on this is the likes of Logitech, right? Logitech don't pay a lot of people. They give out a lot of stock for free. And their value is that there is a mass amount of content out there from people who've created free or cheap content for them, and they get to reshare that. The value for you in that is, one, you're adding to your portfolio of work, but two, if they reshare that to their network, chances are they've got a following of 10,000 people that you don't have. That person's going to be exposed. Those people are going to be exposed to your brand. So there's a payoff. There's definitely a payoff. But like I said, there comes a certain point where you have to be like, I'm doing a lot of free work, followers are built up, it's time to start charging. And it's also knowing as well. I personally think a good agency will not insult someone by coming at them and saying, hey, I know you've got 10,000 followers, but I don't have budget. Will you do this for free? A good agency will go, and they should be talking to their client and being like, no, don't expect someone for free for 10,000.
And that's absolutely fair. I mean, if you've worked your ass off to get to that point, then there's obviously value. If someone came to you and said, hey, I've got 10,000 followers and stuff like that, they're serious because they've worked.
Oh, yeah. Right. Well, look, what did we say at the top of the show? TV is dying.
Yeah. Yep. Right.
And the reason it's dying is because more people are online. So there is more value in a content creator than there is a.
Also,
TV
have you seen the prices of running a TV ad?
Well, there is that. But look, TV ad also, depending on what your product is, it has its market. Like if you're going for boomers, if that's your clientele, pay for those TV ads. But if you're going for the millennial or Gen Z market, you should not be wasting your time on TV. God, no. You shouldn't be wasting your time on radio. You shouldn't be wasting your time in print media. Although out-of-house marketing still works for both of them, right? So that's your billboards and activations and things like that.
Yeah, but also, I mean, I've dabbled a little bit in, I guess you'd call it consulting, but it's more the fact that I got brought into companies where I just recognized their marketing was awful. And I'm like, hey guys, you're doing it wrong. This is how you do it. And one of the things that they showed me was the prices of billboards. And oh my, just oh my.
Well, a lot of them are expensive, but there's actually cheaper ways of doing billboards now, which is super cool because there's like apps you can download, which you can book a billboard for like, I want this billboard for an hour in this location.
Oh, wow. Really? Okay.
You upload your images, and because they're all digital billboards now, you can have your billboard go up for like an hour in the middle of Sydney and it costs you $500 as opposed to
that's so much easier than it used to be.
Put up a physical billboard and it was there for 3 weeks and
you'd pay for printing and
thousands of dollars.
Yeah, it's huge. But yeah, it was interesting because the big thing that I pitched to them is because they were very much around like leaflets and catalogs and newspaper ads and all that stuff. And I said, for the same price that you're spending on that, which was a lot, if I put that into digital marketing, I guarantee you like 1 million times eyeballs, just straight up. And yeah.
I said TV ads work for boomers. Dude, a good Facebook ad works for boomers.
Oh, yes. It's kind of crazy. Yeah. Anyway, I'm mindful of time. The only other thing that I did want to just sort of touch on, because I know that this is, again, another topic that comes up a lot in these conversations, and I feel like I've got the subject matter expert, so we should chat about it.
Absolutely.
For those who are content creators first and foremost, and maybe they've been content creators for a while and everything else, and they want to slip into more that marketing side of thing, what kind of advice could you offer to someone who wants to get out of the being the face of content creation and moving into more of that business side of things?
Okay, so this one here is one that I've been getting asked more and more recently, because a lot of millennial age content creators are starting to look at, like, maybe I don't want to be a content creator anymore, right?
Yep.
So a lot of them are DMing me saying, how did you get into what I got into? It's not as easy as it used to be. That's the first thing I will say, is like a lot of us fell into opportunities because we had the knowledge when marketing agencies didn't have that knowledge. Nowadays, I do tell people it's worth going and studying and getting a digital marketing degree, or a PR degree. It's worth doing that, because a lot of those, when I was getting into marketing, they didn't exist, right? If you went to a marketing degree, you were learning all the shit that we just said was a waste of money. But nowadays, a lot of it is around digital, social, influencers, all that sort of thing. So it's definitely worth going and getting those degrees now. If you've got time to be able to do it, a lot of places do those degrees that you can do from home in your own time between work. So I would invest in that. Another one is, if you've got the time, and especially if you want to get into community management, which is a really good place to start. Community management, it's the lower end of the rung in the marketing sphere, but it's a good jumping on point, because there's always people looking for community managers. But a good way to start, especially in gaming, is working for an esports company. They're probably not going to pay you to do it. If they are going to pay you, it's going to be minimal. You might get some free stuff, but it's not going to be well worth it financially. But it gives you the experience of being a community manager, knowing how to run social media from a brand point of view. The other one is a lot of these digital media outlets as well. Looking for people to be able to do that too. So offer your services to them. And like I said, it might be free. You might have to still have a day job for a while. And build up that reputation via doing that. And the other one is, look at what you do as a content creator and look at what transferable skills there are.
Absolutely.
If you're really good at one particular medium, whether that be live streaming or video editing or coming up with a narrative for a video or something like that, those are all really good transferable skills. So just sort of think about how you can build on that and take that into.
Yeah, I see a lot of companies and brands advertising for like TikTok and socials and shorts and that sort of, like, because that's such a new thing that they're looking for people that are actually already skilled in that to bring that to the table. And absolutely, it's good advice.
And look, and don't go into any of these jobs thinking your job is just going to be playing on TikTok and social media, because what will end up happening is you'll be brought in, you'll be helped to come up with the strategy, you'll start executing that strategy, and you'll find your job will just get added to and added to and added to and added to. So go in with the expectation that you're going to end up being a jack of all trades for a while before you start building your niche and all that sort of thing. It's a really fun industry, but it's also a very stressful industry to work in as well. A lot of people think it's just all fun because they see us at events or they see us sharing on social or LinkedIn the cool stuff we're doing. I like to tell people that it's a fun industry, but it's 80% hard work and stress and probably about 20% fun.
And then all the
fun is really fucking fun.
Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, and I think that's where a lot of people sort of glamorize that whole, I'm going to be at events all the time, and it's like, but you got to do some work.
Dude, events. Talk to anybody that works in PR and marketing about events, and we will all tell you that events are the most stressful time for us. Because it takes a lot of work for what looks like a well-oiled machine when you turn up to an event. And essentially most people, I've had this thing that I stress out really badly in the build-up to like a PAX, right, where we've got a booth and we're running a full campaign and stuff, because you're trying to get you're spinning all these different plates, whether that be content creators, booths, getting the booth built, tech, blah, blah, blah. before the event, the doors open, something will go wrong, guarantee it, absolutely will happen. But then you have this moment of calm the moment the doors open.
Yep.
Because there's nothing you can do anymore.
That's it. Absolutely. And that is 100% what I tell everyone is like, hey, you're stressing about it. And it gets to the point, it's like, it's happening now. That's it. You can't stop it. It's happening. Whatever happens now, it happens.
Essentially, from there and then on in, if a plate falls down, you're just picking up and replacing the plate and getting that one spinning again.
Exactly that. That's so good.
I think one other thing I just did want to sort of, if I could plug anything, after years of working in this industry and not being a content creator for so long, I decided to become a content creator again in the last few months.
How's that working out for you?
Bro, fun. Because I'm not doing something that's gaming or marketing related.
Yep.
And I think if I decided to be a Twitch streamer or a YouTuber based on video games or whatever, I would hate it. Because I have video games for two reasons, right? One part's work, one part's fun and enjoyment and relaxation. If I'd done that, it would have been shit. I probably would have hated it. But as I mentioned earlier, I'm a massive pro wrestling nerd. I love talking about pro wrestling. My wife hates hearing me talk about pro wrestling. So me and another mate who, funnily enough, was a Twitch streamer as well, content creator, we got together and we started a weekly wrestling podcast, and it's become a YouTube show and all that sort of thing. We've had opportunities to work with brands on that side of things. So being able to bring that knowledge and how to work with brands and stuff. And like we've gone from a nothing podcast 6 months ago to one of the biggest podcasts in Australia in the wrestling space. Crazy. But we had a leg up with my knowledge on how the industry sort of works. And
that's how all the successful podcasts work, though. If they've got someone who's passionate, they usually already got connections or intel on the subject, and they start a podcast.
Yeah, but it's even like
you got to know what you're talking about.
How many podcasts start up and are working directly with 2K and WWE in their first year?
Yeah, well, I mean that's fair, but also like you're super passionate about it, and
mate, well, you just look at my Twitter. Like I
was going to say, I know when wrestling's happening because I just open Twitter and it's it's you and about three others that it's you hear nothing, you just like nothing wrestling, and it's just this big block, and you're like, holy shit, I don't even need to watch the show. I know what's going on.
Yeah, exactly right. And look, apologies to anyone that is following me during WrestleMania week, because I'm not going to be talking about marketing. I'm not going to be talking about video games.
Busy.
We're literally just about to come into WrestleMania week, and it's going to be insane.
Yep. And it's absolutely. And look, it's something that I guess this podcast kind of comes around is, it's like, if that's your passion, like that's the thing that's got to succeed. If you are interested in it and that's something you really enjoy doing, and that's you like talking about it, and it's not a matter of when you're working your 9 to 5 and it's a struggle to get out of bed. Like if you genuinely are leaping out of bed going, I got some shit to do today, I'm excited for it, then it's going to happen. It's going to be really good. And that's
absolutely. And look, I haven't got to the point with working in the business side of games and stuff where I'm like, I hate doing this. I haven't got to that point. I still absolutely love what I do for a day job.
Yep.
But it's not the thing I want to do after I clock off at night.
Yeah, it's totally fair.
Right?
Yeah.
It's because it is my day job. And the thing I do want to do is I want to sit down and I want to watch Raw, and I want to tweet about the amazing storylines that I'm enjoying, and I want to spend an hour with a mate of mine talking about wrestling every week, and it's super cool. So it's been fun and weird being a content creator again, because it's been 10 years since I've been a content creator myself, right? To the point where I've spent the last 10 years being recognized by content creators at events, right? So at PAX and stuff, the general public have no idea who I am.
Yeah.
Right? General attendees, they don't care. I'm just some dude who's walking around. But all the Twitch streamers and YouTubers and stuff, they see me and they go, oh, it's Phid, right?
Yeah.
And it's been cool. But what was weird for me was being a content creator in wrestling. Like, if I go to PAX, no one's going to give a shit about my wrestling podcast. But I went to Perth for Elimination Chamber couple of months
Which was
ago.
like the wrestling mecca meetup of the year for Australians. Because
Oh,
everyone
100%
knew.
it was. And it was wild to me being at those I went to a couple of indie wrestling events and went to this big WWE event.
Oh yeah,
And people stopping me because
Awesome.
they knew me.
Yeah.
I got stopped on the plane because so many people were flying into Perth. I got stopped on the plane by someone going,
That's
I
so
listened to your
cool.
podcast.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, so it's been wild being able to experience the content creator side of things again after so long, because I used to get recognized from radio and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's cool. But also, I love the fact that my contents community is separate from my day jobs
Yep.
sort of community as well. So I still get to go to PAX and just be the business guy at PAX.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely still a crossover, but you know, it's the
Oh, absolutely, there's still a crossover. Like it's actually funny you say it, because there's this group of us that all work in the games business marketing side of things.
yeah.
And there's some people that are at publishers, there's some people that are at events. We've got people that work at different agencies and stuff like that. There's a whole group of us that are all wrestling fans. And once a month we go to this wrestling event. It's a small little indie wrestling thing. And so it's this weird crossover of gaming people getting together, hanging out, not talking about games.
Yep. And that's cool. You need that sometimes. It's good.
Absolutely. Especially like some of these people are technically my competitors.
Yeah.
But we're mates.
Yeah, that's it. It's all business. It's fine until it's not. And, you know, look, that's awesome. We do need to wrap things up. Otherwise, we will go forever. But it has been fantastic. We're at the point of the show where you can plug some stuff. I think everyone's pretty familiar with the Original Geek at this point, if they've listened this far. But hey, how about your podcast? You know, if people are into wrestling.
So you can follow me or follow our podcast on everything if you're into wrestling, which is on Twitter. We're at DWN Under the Ring, and we're at Down Under the Ring on Instagram and all other socials. And you can find our podcast on all platforms: YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts. Drop us a sub, give us a like, review us.
Yes, please. The amount of feedback that on podcasts, it does an absolute world for just the algorithm alone.
Oh, absolutely.
So
you should do it to this podcast as well.
Yeah, that's it. That was it. I was setting it up. See,
if you're a content creator as well, because we do sort of share when there's opportunities available. So it's Original Geek ANZ on everything. Follow us there, and then you can follow me on everything at Phid McAwesome, because I also share a lot of things. I'll put a tweet out every now and then saying, hey, I'm looking for people for this opportunity. Let me know. And also there's a Discord for Original Geek as well. And look, it'll be on there's a link to it somewhere.
Yep.
But yeah, jump in the Discord if you're a content creator, because there's always opportunities coming up, and we do put shout outs in there before it goes public, that we have opportunities. And
Look, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting. I'm sure a lot of people have learned something from this, and like you've had an insane journey, and it's great to see. It kind of feels like you're in that on the upwards climb still. So I hope you're ready for everything that comes next.
Yeah, it feels like we're on the upwards climb at the moment, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, fantastic. And and if you've listened to this podcast this long, absolutely do give us a like and a comment. If you've got questions and stuff as well, you can always just hit up Phid on Twitter. As long as it's not during WrestleMania, he'll probably reply, and it should be all good. But yeah, thanks for hanging out, everybody. Thanks for listening to the podcast, and we'll see you all again very soon. Thank you, Phid.
No problem. Thanks.